Some people might wonder, what's so special about ants? They're small pests at best and full-blown infestations at worst. They scurry all around us, and we rarely even notice. It's not until you get down to their level that you begin to see how interesting, utterly fascinating and terrifying the world of ants truly is. If you could shrink down to the ant's size and live in their world, you would witness a savage struggle as old as the dinosaurs. Theirs is a violent world full of ruthless royalty, cutthroat raiders, globe-spanning armies, and sometimes even comic book superpowers.
Let me tell you something, man, about ants. They're so amazing, bro. If humanity was anything like ants, we communicate, there's no drama, we would excel as a species. We got too many individualists out there that want to compartmentalize groups. That slows us down, man. That's what I'm against. I'm against that. People that want to just separate into their own little echo chambers, into their own little segmented parts, and they think that's what makes them special. No, this is what makes us special. I'm gonna fight for that. That's what I believe in. We are weaker apart. I'm talking to Hugh. Humanity, we are weaker apart.
Deeper into this, stay with us as we are looking at 10 of the craziest ants in the world. The Cardiocondyla obscura is a fascinating species known for its atypical behaviors. In fact, there is only one male per colony. He's the ergotoid, the dominant male ant, and must defend his territory.
Ergotoid.
If a new male wanders in for some mating, the reigning ergotoid will dab chemicals from his anus onto the intruder. This butt secretion
He sees the intruder and just shit on him.
will cause all of the workers to band together and
Shit
kill
on
the
him.
newcomer. But that's not all that they'll do. In an effort to further reduce any possible rivalry, the ergotoid combs the nurseries looking for newborn males to slaughter. The soft one-day-olds are easy pickings. However, if they find a 2-day-old male whose armor has hardened, it becomes a pitched battle with a 14% chance that the young ant wins and a 43% chance that they will both die. This is mostly because they're both rubbing their kill scents on each other, encouraging the workers to kill. Many times the workers end up slaying them both, but there shouldn't be a problem if they both die. New males are always being born, and the dead ones are fed to the larvae. Ants and termites are mortal enemies. Their conflict has gone on for millions of years. In that time, they've developed some awesome weapons, but perhaps none so potent as the African ant Chromatogaster striatula. This ant specializes in hunting termites. They have a potent poison which induces death seizures in termites. However, they don't inject it as venom. They release it into the air as an aerosol spray to kill termites from a distance. Then, they slowly back toward their victims. In a matter of minutes, the termites will be lying on their backs with their legs kicking in the air until they die. Apparently, the termites aren't smart enough to consider fleeing the gas. This aerosol poison also protects this species against others.
I take it back. You know what? Man, ants are not that great. They're out there committing genocides and drive-bys and shit. They're not too dissimilar from us.
Hit the lights, nigga.
Looters.
Small pillage ants raid colonies of ants that are themselves so small that they live in a single acorn. These little acorn fortresses only have one entrance. So how do pillage ants gain access? They walk in through the front door. Usually they aren't even noticed. Scientists think they have some sort of chemical camouflage that allows them to remain mostly undetectable to their enemies. In other words, they possess chemical invisibility, but sometimes they are found out, in which case fighting ensues. In such scenarios, the small pillage ant will stab its opponent in the neck with paralyzing venom that kills it quickly. Pillage ant casualties have never been observed from these fights, whereas the other ants can suffer anywhere from 5 to 100% losses. That's quite an impressive feat, considering that pillage ants never attack in groups larger than 4 individuals. Solenopsis fugax is a thief ant, meaning that it steals from other ant colonies. However,
No, that's a looter. Okay, that's a looter. And the other one was a debt collector.
most parasitic ants have one specific type of host ant they can parasitize. They've learned the smells and behaviors of that one species and how to exploit them. Formicoxenus nitidulus, also known as the shining guest ant, however, can parasitize the nests of 11 different species. A single shining guest ant colony can even live sprawled among multiple host nests at the same time. The ants can pull this amazing bit of mooching because they apparently taste awful. Anytime a guard picks one up, they immediately drop it. When your hands and your mouth are the same thing, enemies that taste gross are probably very difficult to deal with. In fact, no other ant is known to employ this taste really bad strategy. Dinosaur ants are a little primitive. As their name suggests, they're bigger than normal ants, over 2.5 centimeters long, and everyone in the colony has the ability to reproduce. Instead of a queen, they have an alpha female. She's surrounded by up to 5 beta females, who do nothing but sit around all day long.
Alpha female, huh? A lot of people online like to say alpha female does not exist. I'm hearing it with wolves, now I'm hearing it with ants. Ain't that crazy?
These betas are next in line if something should happen to the alpha. Sometimes a beta gets tired of waiting and decides to start laying eggs of her own. If the alpha female detects that her position is being challenged, she wipes chemicals from her stinger onto the would-be usurper. At that point, the workers will run out to punish the offending ant. They will pin the overreaching beta to the ground, sometimes for up to 4 days. After justice has been meted out, the beta also loses her rank and is just a lowly worker from then on.
Basically, if you're a beta, no matter where you are in life, if you're deemed a beta, it's set to get pinned to the ground like a little bitch.
There are only 5 ants in the top 100 worst invasive species list. Of the 5, the Argentine ant has the world's largest supercolonies. The 3 biggest of which in California, Europe and Japan are actually all part of the same global mega colony. They are incredibly successful at driving off the competition, and there is no ant out there that can beat them in a straight fight, except one. Research indicates that another invasive species, the Asian needle ant, Pachycondyla chinensis, is taking territory away from the Argentine ant. This is a first because Argentine ants do not lose. They're very adaptable and fiercely defend their territory. So why are they suddenly being pushed back by the needle ant? Scientists aren't quite sure. Argentine ants seem to avoid needle ants, and no one knows why. It's possible that the needle ants are eating their South American cousins, because that's what they do. They specialize in eating termites and other ants. Another reason could be that Asian needle ants can tolerate cold weather better than most ants. That means they have a longer season to mate, build nests, and eat their neighbors. More people are allergic to Asian ant stings than to honeybee stings, while the bite of the Argentine ant is fairly typical and not particularly painful.
I remember when I was a kid, I must have been like 4 years old. I was 4 years old. I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Living with my dad, living with my mom. I would go outside and play and stuff. I remember this. There have been several times where I got attacked by these ants. These motherfuckers had me in pain. Like, they attacked me and I was still in pain from the shock of their bite. I was rolling around on the couch. I was crying. And I remember it was these lethal dark colored ants that when they attacked me, this shit hurt. I don't even know where they came from. Man, they were big and they were vicious and they were venomous. They kept fucking me up. All I want to do is go play on my tricycle, boy. That's why you got to know what species of ant you're dealing with when you're outside. And yes, my mom and dad were married at the time. They were married for a few years. My mom got married to my dad. Then they had me. Now they've been divorced. They've been divorced right when I turned around, about to turn 5. That's my mom. You know what? Growing up nowadays, kind of look back at, how your mom was. Your mom's not perfect, but you do know this. My mom was a virtuous woman. My dad had his hang-ups. You know what? I'm gonna leave it at that. She wasn't out like these goofy ass girls you see online, going out there just having babies with any stranger and stuff. No, my mom she was a lot of things, but she was virtuous, and I gotta respect that. That's something I'm gonna teach my daughters too.
Horn crazy ant is the one that overran Biosphere 2, a contained ecosystem built in Arizona in the 1980s, killing almost all the other insects in the enclosed environment.
Damn. Ants out in the desert, man, is no joke, bro.
They can clone themselves, and if they mate with a son, they can clone him too. so there's no inbreeding. Meanwhile, Anoplolepis gracilipes, the yellow crazy ant, is eating all the crabs on Christmas Island and deforming baby seabirds in Hawaii into hideous monsters by spraying them with acid. By far, the craziest of the crazy ants is Nylanderia fulva, the tawny or raspberry crazy ant. These bad boys are destroying the hated fire ant all over the southern United
I can't remember which ants it was that attacked me when I was a kid, but like maybe I might be able to identify the motherfuckers in this video. I'm hoping I could.
States. Fire ants have an extremely potent poison, a sort of topical insecticide, and most other ants can't deal with that. But tawny crazy ants have a secret defense. When they're hit with fire ant poison, they quickly coat themselves in their own poison. Somehow this
Maybe the ants weren't biting me, they were stinging me. I was getting peppered with these goddamn motherfuckers. I remember.
neutralizes the fire ant's primary weapon with a 98% survival rate. Then, just to make it even more weird, the act of using tawny ant poison to counter fire ant poison somehow creates an ionic liquid which has never been seen before in nature.
What? Ionic liquid?
Phydola is a genus of ant where the soldiers have really, really big heads. Unsurprisingly, they're called big-headed ants. One species, Phydola megacephala, is also in the top 100 worst
Oh yeah, we got ants like that in Florida, in Miami. I used to see these big-headed ants all over the place too.
invasive species list. They use their large noggins to grind seeds, block holes to defend the hive, and to cut up their competition. Research on Phydola megacephala shows that the size of their head actually corresponds to the severity of the local competition.
I saw a lot of them in South Florida when I was living in Miami. These ugly, big-headed ants, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. How come that one looks different from the rest of these guys right here? Then I see another one, and then over there I see another one. I'm like, what's the deal with that shit?
In a difficult environment like Australia, they will grow their heads 3 times bigger than in an easy, laid-back place
No, this was in Miami. They're not no damn Australia either.
like Hawaii. Perhaps the most unique thing about the Phydola genus as a whole is the supermajor caste. Big-headed ants have 3 castes: minors, majors, and supermajors. The minors are workers, the majors are the soldiers with big heads, and the supermajors have even more massive heads. Of the 1,100 species of Phydola, only 8 are known to have supermajors. Researchers found a few of these mega-soldiers in a nest of Phydola morrisi, a species of big-headed ants that doesn't make supermajors. With a little experimentation, they were able to create supermajors in the lab from regular Phydola morrisi ants. The scientists now believe that all members of the Phydola genus have the capacity to create supermajors, and this is a throwback mechanism that dates back to their prehistoric ancestors 35 to 60 million years ago.